morning, everyone. This is the Housing Trust Fund Corporation, let's try that. This is the Housing Trust Fund Corporation meeting for July 14, 2016. We have a quorum present with Chairman Rubin, Ms. Zucker, and Mr. Zemsky. I'll note that Mr. Zemsky is participating from the HCR office in Buffalo this morning. Oh, I'm sorry, the ESD office in Buffalo this morning. Is there a motion to call to order the July 2016 meeting of the members of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation?
I'll move.
And is there a second? As items are presented to the board throughout today's meeting, this motion and second will be used unless specific items call for a different vote or unless a board member or director wishes to record his vote differently or her vote differently. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the meeting held on June 22nd, 2016. The minutes have been submitted to the members of the board under separate cover. Are there any questions or comments? If there are none, the minutes are deemed approved. The next item for business is a resolution authorizing an award under the Community Development Block Grant Program for Economic Development to Delaware County to assist K Tooling, and this will be presented by Chris Leo, President of the Office of Community Renewal.
Good morning, Commissioner Rubin and members of the board. Delaware County has requested $151,970 in New York State Community Development Block Grant Economic Development Funds to assist K Tooling in purchasing machinery and equipment needed in order to expand their current production capacity into a 10,000 square foot vacant manufacturing facility located in the Sydney Industrial Park. K Tooling was established in 1995 and is a subcontract manufacturer that works with companies in the design, manufacture, and finishing of custom parts and components in the consumer products industry. The K Tooling and Delaware County were mindful of the Southern Tier Regional Strategic Plan and the URI initiative and are trying to branch out into advanced manufacturing and transportation industry as it was identified as a regional priority. So they're following the local planning and looking to point their company in that direction. In 2015, K Tooling revamped production and added capabilities in order to meet emerging needs. They've already increased business over 20% in just 6 months. Since March 2015, they've been able to create 4 additional jobs and are looking to continue their growth. The proposed project will be located in the village of Sydney in Delaware County. While the village of Sydney is considered the primary manufacturing center in the county with 2 of the largest employers, the median family income is nearly 55% lower than the statewide median. In addition, the village has experienced devastation over the past 5 years in the form of multiple floods that have affected the area. This has prevented private investment, actually probably discouraged private investment in the village, directly resulting in job losses for the community. The project helps provide job opportunities where there certainly is need. The proposed total project cost of $741,970 will create 12 full-time equivalent jobs over 2 years, with 58% of those jobs benefiting low to moderate income persons. The CDBG funds will be used to purchase machinery and equipment. The cost per job is $12,664. Each dollar in state investment will leverage an additional $3.88 in private investment. OCR seeks a recommendation and resolution to provide economic development funding to Delaware County, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
No, that's great. Sydney is you know, Chris, is one of the community reconstruction zone sites for the storm recovery.
Right.
And we've done a lot of good. What's that?
I'm sorry, absolutely. We made a significant investment in Amphenol, which was a major aircraft manufacturing facility there. We created berms to protect their new property. So yeah, we're happy to be helping the community out.
Yep. Yeah, they have a lot of issues. That's great.
So assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted. The next item for business is a resolution authorizing an award under the Community Development Block Grant Program for Economic Development to the City of Amsterdam to assist Memory Lane Daycare Center.
Thank you. The City of Amsterdam has requested $100,000 in New York State CDBG Economic Development Funds to assist Memory Lane Daycare in opening a daycare facility. Memory Lane Daycare is currently a home-based group of family daycare providers seeking a commercial location on the south side of Amsterdam, New York, near several of the area's large manufacturing and regional distribution centers. The facility will serve children from ages 6 to 12 years old and will eventually offer an educational curriculum to meet the needs of each child's age level. They will be employing certified teachers in early childhood development as the center progresses. The facility will be open from 6:30 a.m. until 6:30 p.m., as well as offering weekend care. The facility will be located across the street from the Montgomery County Industrial Park, where several large companies are located. Many of the employees at these businesses are looking for a reliable daycare center to send their children. And, we hear that a lot. If you're a single parent or two working parents, daycare is obviously a significant problem with a significant associated costs. And I think this is a very flexible way. It actually highlights the flexibility of the CDBG program that we can consider a project like this under our economic development program. So the proposed total project cost of $259,260 will create 16 full-time jobs over 2 years, with all 16 benefiting low to moderate income persons. CDBG funds will be used towards furniture, fixture, and machinery and equipment. CDBG cost per job is a very reasonable $6,250. Each dollar in the CDBG investment will leverage an additional $1.59. OCR seeks a recommendation and a resolution to provide economic development funds to the City of Amsterdam, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have on this project.
Questions?
Chris, one quick question. Is it, I think there is are they a state certified daycare center? Is that what this is? They will be?
Yeah, it will be, yes.
Right.
I'm sure they're certified as, local home-based facility, and they would have to get probably a commercial facility license to operate. That's something that we will verify as we go through the contract process, so we'll do our due diligence before any disbursements are made.
Center-based care is licensed by the Office of Children and Family Services.
Is that right?
Okay.
Great.
So assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion is carried and the resolution is adopted. Next is a resolution authorizing an award under the Community Development Block Grant Program for Economic Development in the City of Oneonta to assist Bombers Burritos. Once again, Chris Leo.
Thank you, Linda.
We'll be having lunch there.
The City of Oneonta has requested $375,000 in CDBG economic development funds to assist Bombers Burrito in opening a restaurant downtown. The company will provide $85,000 in equity to fund the project. The H3 Group, which is the LLC, and Oneonta Bombers Incorporated, plan to open a restaurant in downtown Oneonta. The project will be part of a larger project to rehabilitate a vacant building in downtown Oneonta. The project will include equipment, furniture, and inventory, and working capital. As part of a downtown revitalization strategy, the project will address blight and create economic opportunities for residents of the city and the surrounding area. The project will improve property values, reduce the downtown vacancy rate, and enhance the downtown economy. Bombers Burritos is a place I know well. I live in when I lived in downtown Albany, there was a Bombers Burritos on Lark Street that I ate on probably once a month for the first 3 years of living downtown. It's a great facility. Great small business owner. There's a nice story behind how this franchise came to be. And I have no doubt they'll be successful in downtown because they have a captive audience of college students who will undoubtedly enjoy the Bombers Burritos. So this project's total project cost is $1,223,500. Will create 31 full-time job equivalents over 2 years, with 81% of those jobs benefiting low to moderate income persons. CDBG funds will again be used towards working capital, furniture, fixtures, machinery, and equipment. The CDBG cost per job is $12,097 and will leverage an additional $2.62 in private investment per each dollar of state funding invested. The Office of Community Renewal seeks a recommendation and resolution to provide economic development funds to the City of Oneonta for Bombers Burritos, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
That's great.
Assuming no questions, assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Next item of business is a resolution approving the secure documentation and classification of the environmental impact of 43-441 South Warren Street and 11 Commercial Street, and it'll be presented by Heather Spitzberg, Secure Officer.
Good morning, everyone. This morning I have two New York Main Street funded projects to present for a recommendation of classification as unlisted with a negative declaration under seeker. The first one is 431-441 South Warren Street in the city of Syracuse. It is the adaptive reuse of a vacant former radio station building. It was the first radio station building in Syracuse. The adaptive reuse will preserve the historic elements of the building. It is being rehabilitated to create 3 ground floor commercial spaces and second and third story residential spaces. The second project is at 11 Commercial Street in the town of Livonia in Livingston County. And that is currently a fully commercial building, and they are adaptively, they're updating the first floor to create a more usable commercial space and then creating some residential uses on the upper floors. We have reviewed these projects and found no adverse environmental impacts, and therefore I am recommending negative declaration. Be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, thank you very much.
No question. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted. The next item of business is a resolution reauthorizing an award under the Medicaid redesign program for 220 Hull Street, and it will be presented by Sean Fitzgerald, Vice President of the Office of Finance and Development.
Good morning, Chairman Rubin, members Zensky and Zucker. Presented for your consideration is a resolution reauthorizing Medicaid redesign award to 220 Hull Street. This is the new construction of a 5-story permanent supportive housing project for persons living with AIDS in Bed-Stuy neighborhood of Brooklyn. As you may recall, since 2014, all multifamily capital awards resolutions have included a provision in which the award automatically lapses after 360 days if all sources of permanent construction financing have not been closed on. This project at the time of application proposed a construction financing closing in August 2015. Subsequent to the authorization, the project encountered a number of delays related to cost increases with the project and the need to secure additional funds to cover those cost increases. At this time, Housing Works has secured additional resources needed to cover all the costs of constructing the project, and they are poised to go to a construction financing closing in the next 2 weeks. As such, Office of Finance and Development recommends a reauthorization of this MRT award.
Are there any questions? Then assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted. Next item of business is a resolution designating signatories for the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. Janet Lynn, Assistant General Counsel of GOSER.
Hi.
Hello.
Good morning, Commissioner Rubin and members of the board. We are looking here to revise the existing signatory authority at GOSER. It is relatively minor revisions, all still conditioned on the existing authorization. The authorizations are conditioned upon the same conditions as before, that all executed contracts and instruments are within the amount permitted by HUD, that the signing of these instruments is reported to the members at the next board meeting, and that no contract or instrument is effective without approval as to form by the General Counsel of GOSER and fiscal sufficiency by the Treasurer, and that the one change in these conditions is that not only the Executive Director, but that the General Counsel, Dan Green, could also certify as to compliance with the contracts, so that he could complete the certificates of compliance. The authorization for Lisa Bova Hyatt as Executive Director remains the same, although it's tied to the title and not her name in particular, so that we don't have to go through this process in the future. but also granting the same authorization to sign contracts and instruments to Dan Green as general counsel. And that's tied to him individually, not the title. So I think that the one other revision is that it clarifies that this would apply to not only CDBG-DR funds, but other disaster-related funding. Any questions?
Very good thing to do.
Okay, assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted.
Thanks, Jim.
The next item is a new business item. We have an item of new business for the creation and administration of the Troubled Asset Program. The materials were submitted to the board under separate cover, and Mark Colon, President of the Office of Housing Preservation, will address the item.
Good morning.
Right.
I'm Mark Colon. I'm the President of Housing Preservation. I brought some of my directors here. Alex Abrams, the Director of my preservation, the OHP Preservation Program. Dan Murphy, the Statewide Asset Management, Assistant Statewide Asset Management. So the Office of Housing Preservation is proposing to create the Preventive Troubled Asset Program to rapidly and preemptively respond to exigent physical needs and to ensure the health and safety of the residents of the agency's various housing portfolios. We're proposing to fund PTAP with available corporate resources from HTFC and the Housing Finance Agency. PTAP's first priority will be to address currently unmet exigent needs in the Preservation Initiative Program, or PIP portfolio, as well as in several Mitchell-Lama and HFA finance properties. OHP staff have assessed and prioritized HCR properties with the most pressing needs based on previous physical needs assessment. PTAP funds will be utilized only to address deficiencies that could pose an immediate risk to a development, particularly risks to the health and safety of tenants. Properties needing additional, more comprehensive rehab will continue to be referred to HCR's Office of Finance and Development to pursue a more long-term financing and preservation strategy through HCR's Open Window Preservation Program, Unified Funding, or other multifamily funding sources. A couple of broader points I wanted to make. PTAP is modeled on earlier HCR initiatives that sought to address potential physical issues in our portfolio in a preemptive manner. For example, the Energy Conservation Tenant Health and Safety Improvement Program, and HTFC's Imminent Needs Funds, and the even earlier Housing Project Repair Program for the Mitchell-Lama portfolio. Unfortunately, these ended not because every potential material issue in our portfolio has been resolved, but largely because they ran out of funding. The PTAP program is an effort to look agency-wide at our portfolio, and is really one of the benefits of the integration of all of the state's housing and community renewal agencies under one roof. I've directed my staff to address issues in order of risk, regardless of the program they're in. As I mentioned, this is one of the benefits of the integration of our agencies. Will there be differences in how we document or even remedy some issues based on program? Well, of course, but these don't matter in a practical sense to residents or to our buildings. We will treat practical problems with practical remedies regardless of the program they're in. This is an effort, again, to get out ahead of these problems before we are called in by the local elected official, or before we find out about these things when it's too late, when an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. There is currently the one remaining program is on HTFC side is the Imperil Project Program, which allows us to spend up to $20,000 and make a presentation at the next board meeting. However, the nature and the size of these issues often exceed that, and the ability to move quickly on these and to report to a PTAP credit committee will help us, again, act in a more practical, flexible manner.
Are there any questions?
Can you explain the source of funds you're gonna use for this?
Sure.
Because I see that you reference both the trust fund and HFA, and the initial fund is coming, it sounds like from, I guess, PIP program funds you haven't spent yet?
Yep.
Can you just give us an
Yep, sure,
accounting
sure,
of that
sure.
and sort of how you see what you're looking for access for on a going
Sure.
forward basis?
Sure. So the PIP program, which was established about 6 or 7 years ago, has currently remaining, I believe, about 22.
It's about somewhere between 13 to 16 million of the original 25 that's left, depending on what deals close and when, of the 25 that was originally approved by HTF.
Right, the 22 or the number is actually the money that has been allocated, but there's a number of projects that we are intending to close before terminating the PIP program, which would leave, as Alex mentioned, about between 13 and 16 million. In discussing these with some of the executives, we were asked to, rather than kind of made sense to us to reallocate all of that PIP money, which was sort of not being put to the imminent needs quickly enough to allocate all of it to this new program. But I thought it was a very cogent suggestion to start with a year to assess what's the first tranche of projects that you'd want to assess, and to go out for a year and to come up with a very rough sort of budget based on old physical needs assessments before we actually get that. That may change once we get out to the properties. So that's about seven.
So the 1 year is 7.3?
1 year, 7.3 from HTFC. The other source of the HFA funds is the result of actually one of the lean initiatives in our asset management unit in Dan Murphy's shop. These are subsidy loan interest payments due to increased efficiency gained from lean initiatives, as well as LIHC monitoring fees and projected increased collections in the interest payments due to the efficiencies realized in the AMU program. So essentially,
Can I have one point of clarification from the peanut gallery? The $7 million proposed budget is a rough sort of estimate based on the prioritization of these projects, but we're not approving these projects at this point, right? That was to give us a ballpark of what we thought was needed, and then the process of actually approving the projects is going to happen through a sort of credit committee, which is going to include representation across the agency. So I just want to be very clear that right now what we're approving is the program and the transferred use of funds, or sort of the transferred intended use of funds, but not a single dollar payment at this point.
Are there any other questions? Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted.
I think this is good. I think it's an important thing to be doing. To recognize, it reflects our recognition that we have a giant portfolio with a lot of risk embedded in it that we need to be able to do something about in cases where there's just nobody else, there's no other pocket. And that's part of what PIP was supposed to be doing, but PIP is tied to financing of a lot of things, and PIP has had a lot of issues, as we all know, just because inherently it was a difficult thing to do.
And one other benefit I didn't mention was that that the PTEP will be developing a team of dedicated staff to address these types of issues. Again, this is modeled on programs that previously existed. There was dedicated staff. As a matter of fact, my predecessor, Rich McKernan, when I called him about this, told me that he started at DHCR as a forensic accountant on a dedicated staff in the Mitchell-Lama emergency portfolio. And I really think it will help us as an agency to develop that kind of expertise to be able to, going forward, to start to analyze these better, to get out in front of them, and to be able to make the right call.
Sure.
The remaining items are informational items and no board action is necessary. The first is review of the board governance committee and audit committee self-evaluations. These evaluations were submitted to the members under a separate cover, and our appreciation to everyone for taking the time to complete them. The next is a review of the type 2 secure summaries. Again, these were submitted to the board in their packet. A review of the secure determinations for projects under the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program. A review of the contracts executed by the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. And then finally, a review of the adjustment to the annual report to reflect litigation liability. So the board adopted the audit report adopted by the board at the last meeting has been adjusted to the extent that the board authorized the pro-source settlement with GOSER on behalf of GOSER, which is now reflected as a liability for the last fiscal year. There are no other changes to the audit report. Are there any remaining questions or comments? If there are none, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? In a second? The motion is adjourned. The meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Can I just get
Thanks, Howard.
clarification? Were all the votes unanimous? Because I couldn't
Yes.
actually hear
Yes.
Commissioner Zunzi. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, Howard.